failed us. We were trying to troubleshoot a problem which was occurring that when I was doing an end-to-end test on my GitHub, it was failing. I tried multiple times to have Copilot try to go in, solve that issue. It even has access to the MCP server to be able to communicate with my GitHub. It was unable to solve it, and in fact, all that it did was it decided that it was going to go and find the specific line that was causing the issue and just delete that line. There we go, no more issue. Okay, that doesn't actually solve the problem, obviously. That just deletes that line. So, anyways, in today's video, what I want to do is, okay, fine. Let's try to understand what is the problem. First off, what I want to do is there's a couple things just contextual that I don't understand fully. So, what does it mean by context in the context of Docker, and why would I be getting some kind of issue with copying one directory which is in my on my local Mac computer onto the Docker container? So why is this occurring, that error occurring? And so trying to understand kind of the concepts and ideas, and then seeing if we are, I guess there we go, and seeing if we are able to then go and use that knowledge to be able to solve the problem. Now, if we are not able to solve the problem, I think what I'm going to do is just I'm going to follow Copilot's example. I'm just going to essentially delete the end-to-end test because I really want to move kind of quickly on this project and develop as much as I can. Obviously, as I've always said, I want to learn as much along the way, but I also want to move kind of quickly, and just spinning my wheels troubleshooting isn't going to be beneficial at all. And the only reason that I'm doing this right here is because, okay, well, maybe there is a misconception in my understanding of the concepts, and that I'm willing to spend some time on to actually go and investigate it. But if it's just like random troubleshooting, okay, well, I don't find spending 2 hours troubleshooting for a semicolon error. Now, obviously, I know that that's not going to take 2 hours, but you get what I mean. Like, if you're just troubleshooting for something that's like a very nonsensical thing, you don't gain anything, and you just used a lot of mental energy to do something that you're just like. Anyways, so let's just get started. Okay, so let's try something. All right, well, I'm wondering if it's using a ton of like RAM or something. Like, why? And now I'm better, right? I'm better? Okay. What if I do it on this one? I was not having that problem in the past. Is it any better? Compiler error. We can get rid of this. Failed to open. What are you? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then here's our project. Okay, so I am getting an error when I attempt to run the end-to-end test. Okay. When I attempt to run the end-to-end test on my GitHub. Okay. And then I can just paste in the errors that I'm getting here. Like this. And then I can say, here's my end-to-end test. Here is my end-to-end test. Do you see what might be wrong? So one thing that is definitely useful is being able to understand what an end-to-end test is, because I we have the unit test, the integration test, and end-to-end tests. I've covered a little bit of the unit tests. We've created integration tests, but I haven't looked into them yet. And then the other thing that I need to do is the um, is end to end. So we haven't looked at those very much at all. Is not found, yes. So that's the same thing that Copilot was saying. So when Docker runs this, it looks for a folder named source shared. Relative to where the build command is being executed. In your GitHub action, you are running docker compose up build. Docker compose usually sets the context to the directory the docker compose file lives. If your shared project is at the same level as Bitengine project, but your docker file lives or is inside Bitengine folder, Docker can't reach it and see the shared folder. Okay. The path problem most likely. So Bitengine is on with shared. Is that correct? I believe it is, right? Yes. So if your structure looks like this, which it does, when Docker Compose builds the image, it needs to be told that the root of the build is project root. Okay. Not Bitengine root. Okay. How to fix it? Check my Docker Compose. Ensure the context for Bitengine service points to the root of your directory where the folder is, and the Docker file points to the specific path. Think of the Docker build context like a locked room. Docker build context, okay? Build context is like a locked room, okay? When you start a build, Docker gives you a folder, the room. Docker can see everything inside the room, but it cannot open the door and look at the hallways or other rooms. If your room was the Bitengine folder, it has no idea the shared folder even exists. By setting the context to dot, you make the entire house the repository, the room. Okay, so I will do I'm going to clear this. I'm going to do tree minus L3 here. I'm going to get this. I'm curious what it's meaning about the Docker context and everything. So we already gave this. Here's my Docker file. So I'll say Bitengine Docker file is here, and I will also give the Docker compose here. No. Copy you. Docker compose file. Pressed it too early. I see the exact issue. In your Docker file, you're trying to copy source shared. However, your Docker file is located at source bitengine Docker file. By default, when you build, Docker only sees or at or below the directory where the build is shared. If the context is this, Docker looks for, which doesn't exist. To fix this, you need to tell Docker Compose to look at the root. Here. Messed that up. Before your context was likely set to here, Docker was standing inside that folder and couldn't see shared. Okay. Here is the Docker Compose that I had. It seems to match what you are saying. Okay. At your front-end service versus bitengine service, I see exactly where the discrepancy is. There's a subtle difference that often trips up developers when working with multi-service mono repos. Compare these two blocks in your Docker Compose. Okay. Bitengine here, build context dot. Oh, the context is constrained within front end. Okay. When you set a context of bitengine dot, Docker can see shared. However, because your front end context is dot front end, Docker view is restricted only to front end folder. Okay, fine. If your GitHub error was triggered during the build of bitengine stage, you already had context dot in your compose file, then the issue is likely the GitHub runner wasn't seeing the files correctly due to how they're being referenced or to how Docker cache was being handled. The aha moment why it failed. On GitHub, but maybe not locally. Correct. On your MacBook, you might have local cache or different Docker desktop setup that handles path resolution slightly differently. On GitHub Actions, Ubuntu, okay, Docker is very strict about the build context. How to standardize the project. To ensure both services build correctly and have access to everything they might need from the root, like global configs or shared folders, you should make them consistent. Change the front-end context. Set it to the root so it matches bitengine. Okay. Update the front-end Docker file path to point exactly where it lives. So front end section, the context should be dot. Okay, let's do that. Docker Compose front end context should be dot. Then Docker file is now going to be here. Docker file for the front end is going to be dot source. So dot source and then front and then Copilot is pestering me. So let's fix this one. We're up to 42 on the agentic one. Front end. Get rid of you. Review. No, not source. Add simulator and front end. Okay. Front end here. Then within front end, that's where the Docker file is. Okay, like that. And then we probably need to change the Docker file of the other one, right? So front end Docker file here. And now we will need to change this. Okay. Okay. Adds front end. So they have the relative path. I have it slightly different. Let's so this is the way that I did it. Docker file is here. They did Docker file goes from source. They did just like that, right? It matches. Okay. Because that's the overall context, I think. Is the current directory which our Docker Compose is living in. And from here, I go into front end. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then, so here is my updated Docker Compose for front end. And then here, oh no, sorry. Paste. Here is my Docker my Docker file for front end. Let's see if it looks reasonable to it. Okay. Is there a way to get rid of you? Okay. Since you changed the context of front-end build to the root, in Docker Compose YAML, you must update the front-end Docker file to account for that change. In your copy ... before the context was front-end, so dot meant everything inside of the front-end. Okay, that makes sense. So when I have my Docker file, when I have a dot, it means the current location that my Docker Compose told me my context was. So the room that I'm in. But now the room has changed to the house, so I need to go to the specific. But now the context means the entire repository, so the entire house. So now I need to go and I need to go find the specific room. So I think I need to go like this. I'll just front end like this. I think that's what I need to do. And then do I copy? That I don't know. Oh yeah, copy all of those two things. So just front end. Okay, here, and then copy from front end package.json. And then same thing. Package.json lock here. Okay, how to verify the fix. Do this. Okay. This, and we'll see if we got it. Okay. So is everything good? Looks like it. So git status commit or git add -m, and then changed context of front end Docker container to avoid end-to-end test failure due to lack of text. Okay. Git push, and then origin, and what branch are we working on? Feature add front end. Yeah. Okay. So now I should be actually fixed it, and then if we did fix it, we can go in and try to do that. So let's see. Go to code. So this failed an hour ago, which is fine. I can change it to the front end, which is what we are wanting about. And 1 minute ago, so it does. Okay. Behind main. Ooh, that doesn't look good. Come here. Oh, maybe it was because I deleted that branch. I think that might be. Okay. So come to here and then checks. Here. Smoke checks, rerun jobs, rerun all jobs. Yes. And then I can come in here and see what's going on. It still doesn't do it. It still doesn't do it. This is just ridiculous, man. Okay, just. Here. And. Here. And. Here. And. Is that the only thing? Sure. Just go, 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 go. Okay, let's look at that SLN. Here. Source bit engine here, test bit engine. Notice what's missing. No, I don't know. Shared, okay, or whatever project file named is inside is not in your solution. When you run .NET Restore or .NET Build in your Docker file, the .NET CLI looks at your project dependencies. Bitengine likely has a project reference to shared CS, even though your Docker Compose is copying the file in the folder. If the folder is empty or doesn't contain a valid that Git tracks, the build fails. The critical in your tree showed the directory here. It was empty, that's correct. It didn't show a CS project file inside of it. The ghost folder theory. If you see the file in your MacBook, but the Docker build and builder and likely GitHub cannot, it is almost certain that shared was initialized in a nested Git repository or a submodule at some point, but wasn't added to your main. Okay, to get a folder with its own .git inside is a submodule. If you didn't specifically set it up, Git sees it as an empty directory and will not upload it. Okay. So run this in the project root. Okay. If the output is this, Git thinks it's a submodule, and that's why Docker build on. No, it doesn't say that. So we can remove that entire folder. Okay. Convert to a regular folder. Okay. Add shared to your solution. Even if you fix the GitHub or the Git issue, you should keep your solution healthy. Run this. Okay. So I'm going to go like this here. So returns nothing. Oh, I see, because I was too squished. I thought that never mind. I thought that the next line was the output. Is my brain just not working today or what? I don't know. So run this command to see if Git is intentionally ignoring that folder. Okay. So why the fix? Why this fixes Docker build? Okay. So side of the folder. If it returns a path. Okay. If but there's nothing inside of my folder. Name inside that folder. There is nothing inside of that folder. It is blank. I said go. That explains everything. We found the root cause. Ooh, okay. Ooh, we found it. We found it. Okay. The Docker build is failing because your bitengine code is trying to copy a folder that is physically empty on your machine. And it's likely depends on the code that isn't there. A .NET microservice architecture, the shared folder usually contains models like bit response. Okay, so that both bitengine and front end can have the same shared data. Why this is a problem for your Docker. If that folder is empty, Docker creates an empty directory in the container. Then when it runs .NET restore, the compiler looks at reference to a shared project, looks in that folder, finds nothing, and crashes. You need to put your shared models yes. Update the namespace of. Man, I just want to push the front end code. I don't want. Why did we get into this? I shouldn't. When it said, do you want to do an end-to-end test, I should not have done that. But what a mistake. What an absolute mistake that was. I have this. But then, as it says, I'm going to need to update the namespace. And it's already working. That's the thing. Like, it's working. I don't want to mess up my working stuff. Okay. So I guess the way we would do it is I just drag and drop it into shared, and then I would need to update all of my, but then models is going to be empty and it's going to crash, right? And how much do I trust that this is correct, because it's failed me like 20 times just today? that it should go into shared. Create a new class library. What is a class library? Well, I guess we're not developing anything today. We're just doing random stuff. I'm sorry. So we're going to go into source. Then we're going to go into shared. Okay. And it's empty. And then I'm going to do this. I don't know what this does yet. Okay, so we have shared, and within here we have a full file. Okay. Move those files from. Okay. Update the namespace. So I created a project. I need to find out what that actually does because I don't even know right now. What? Because it wasn't like new console. This one was new class class library, but it's like, okay. Interesting. And now I need to go and do these, move it inside of shared. No, but this is bit engine shared, right? Wait, hold on. Now I have bit engine shared, not. So it's a folder within a folder, is that? So tree minus L3. Or would it be 4? I don't know at this point. After I did this one into with this, I now have a directory inside of a directory. And, okay, so where should I put the model, the files which are currently inside of the models folder, and what should I update their namespace to be? Okay. And what about the other files that depend on those classes? I mean, I guess I am learning, so I should be happy about. Okay, fine. I'm just getting antsy because I'm like, I haven't I'm not moving the project forward, so I'm like, okay. So this is a common oops when using oh, come on. Because you used the in flag, it created a subfolder. This is likely why your Docker. What did I just say about it keeps failing me? But your files are now tucked away in here. Fix the folder structure. Run these commands to flatten it. More. So move shared here into shared. Okay, remove. Okay. Sure. Just here. Move it right here. Then remove this one. Okay. Good. Here. Check that it worked. The namespace and using cleanup. Now that your files are in the right place, you have to fix the internal wiring of your code. If you don't do this, the BitEngine project will act like it lost all the models. Exactly. Open every file you moved to the shared, like campaign and ads, and change the top line. Okay. So let's just move them to this folder. Fine. BitEngine, models, move to shared, move to shared. Okay. Did I do ads.cs? I don't think I did ads.cs, right? Because that is in my... Yeah, this one's blank now. Data, controllers. Wait, yeah, where is ads? Hold on. Oh, it should be in here, right? Yeah. Okay, once I do this, I need to change the namespace to no longer BitEngine models. Now it's BitEngine shared, but we're not in BitEngine, right? Are we? Oh, I guess we are. Okay. So we just moved it from models to shared. What good does this do? And is it gonna fail now that models isn't open? Shared. Campaign. Bid request. Shared. Okay. And now I need to search everything. No longer models, this is shared. This is now empty. Properties, services, bit selector, shared. Again, I don't see what this does. Okay. Yep. Navigate back to Bitengine, okay? And then run. Okay, so okay. We're at Bitengine, and now I run. I'm adding this to the project, okay. What commands should I run so I can copy and paste the output to you to verify that it worked? Okay. What if I do this? Okay. There. The project link check. This needs to be, I need to go back into Bitengine, right? And do .NET build. Okay, so it built. Alright. So now I can go like this, right? Before I get too excited, because I've gotten too excited too much. Git commit. Moved models to shared location to try to shared folder to deal with failing to get push origin and feature add front end. Apparently we're still in front end, right? Here and refresh, and this is the one that was a little while ago, so we should I just want to just please run the normal ones. Enable debug logging. Yes. I don't know what that does, but yes. Come in here, try to see what it's doing. Come on, no red, no red, no red. No red. No! Okay. Okay. I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't work. I do not care. You are... This is horrific. Did I not do that? I have not ran. Let me see. Get status. So apparently, so we haven't added it to our tracking. Get add and then file name. So I don't know if I should just put this into here and see if it does it. And should be good. Rerun all jobs. Enable the sure. I saw red again. A new piece of... What am I even looking for? Docker ignore. Git ignore here. Where's Docker ignore? Do I not even have a Docker ignore? Would it be in here? In my bit engine? I don't know. Docker file. I don't think I have a Docker ignore file. In my root directory, if you don't see one, look for a hidden ls minus la. Okay. ls. Okay, so let's just try that. ls minus la from where? Oops. ls. Do we see a Docker ignore? Compose. Git ignore. Git ignore, yeah, but you said Docker ignore. Even if you don't have a Docker ignore, Docker build will use your git ignore by default. Okay. When you run Docker compose up build, Docker looks at git ignore, sees instead of fighting git ignore, create a specific file for Docker in your root directory. Okay. So now I'm in my root directory, I create this Docker ignore, and then I'm gonna do some kind of like And just paste this into here. Okay, so where is my Docker ignore now? Should am I blind? Get ignore, get attributes. So this stupid thing is there. Okay. Docker ignore, there it is. Okay. So now, awesome. We can't open it, but that's great. That's exactly what I wanted in like a editor, that I can't open my files. Awesome. Cancel because I think I got the wrong one. This one. Paste. Command O. Control O. Yes. Control X. And what? Cat. Okay, and then copy this. Go there. How many aha moments have we said? I think we're up to. I can't. I don't even know. Since Git is trying to protect you from adding ignore file. Okay, force. Fine, 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 fine. I'm just there. Now we're gonna commit this, right? Yes. those to GitHub. They're temporary. Okay, clean up stage. Okay. And it's going to get angry because I have the hashtag there. Now just did those two. I just keep going around in circles. Could it be that I have already... Could it be that I've already added those things to Git? So it is there. It returns. I saw red. Okay. Well, I think that this is just an impossible thing. I need to see the value logs. Start minimal services with